What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Sports Talk 49. I'm here today with my other host, Caleb, Big C, Benonot, Jude, both former Tampa Bay Buccaneers, NFL ballers. And of course, I'm right here. You can't say franchise without saying Joey, Mr. Wild 94.1, man himself. I just want a pair of them J's, though, next time you want to pass them out. So don't forget me, size 13. But we're going to talk about some sports today. Caleb, what are you doing? But we're going to start off with John Jones, the John Jones fight. Wow. We're going to start from the top. Who wants to start with that one?
Man, I didn't watch it, so I'm going to let y'all go first.
Yeah.
But I definitely got my opinion on what happened.
Well, John Jones, arguably, I don't think anybody's going to argue that John Jones is the GOAT right now. The dude is just an absolute animal. Let's just put it out there. Their whole family is pedigree. Both brothers playing in the NFL. Him being a champion, heavyweight champion. I know Caleb's going to talk about Francis, what he's going to do. Should they fight? Francis leaving from the UFC, but that fight was just dominant from the start to the finish. Of course, John Jones putting him in submission up there against the fence, Rogaine, being a group fighter himself. But it was what I expected. I expected John Jones to win this fight. I thought personally it was going to be a knockout, but of course he finished it in submission. Caleb, what do you think? What's your take on that?
I had him winning. I think John is the greatest mixed martial art combat sport athlete of all time. I would say MMA because boxing is a combat sport, so I get to a whole different thing. But yeah, he's the best, man. I didn't need this fight to solidify that for me. Just watching the guys he's beat over his career, to take 3 years off from a sport and come back and dominate in a new weight class, somebody who is a top fighter in the world, and to go do it and make it look that easy, it was awesome to watch, man. The sport is more fun when he's there. When McGregor's there, those guys move the needle. So it was fun to watch.
When you say stepping away from the game for a couple of years and coming back and being at such a dominant level, I know it's not UFC. It reminds me of Tyson Fury when he came back and then fought Deontay Wilder and came back because, Tyson had the alcohol problem, I believe it was, got out of shape, came back, fought Wilder the first one. You can clearly see that Fury wasn't in shape the first fight, but then when they fought again, you can clearly see his body had changed. I think he had changed trainers too, if I'm not mistaken. Then obviously, in my opinion, I always thought Fury was a better boxer than Wilder, but Wilder was definitely fun to watch in that time period. So,
it's so funny to me that you can be a really, really good athlete, or really, really good fighter. Like Cyril Gane is a great fighter, right? And if not for John Jones coming back, he'd probably be the heavyweight champion because he would have beat whoever was next up. But it's like there's just that guy who's just like, you're really, really good, but because you play in this dude's era, you don't get to be a champion. Like there's a lot of really good quarterbacks, but Tom was in there going to the Super Bowl every year. Sorry, There's not enough food for everybody.
Yeah, same thing with the Jordan era. That Jordan era was crazy when early in his career, he just couldn't get over that hump back in the day because it was the Magic and Bird era, and they were really, they were running things. So
yeah.
But John is an excellent fighter, and the sport obviously really good when he's there. I know, ratings had to be crazy. I mean, obviously like a 3-year hiatus from him, or taking a break. And for him to come back and win on submission against a top tier fighter in Gane. So like that's it speaks for itself. I mean, he's definitely the undisputed GOAT in that sport. And more of John Jones to come, and it's just going to be great for UFC all over again.
To touch on your topic about Francis, Dana White after the match is over, he basically said that Francis isn't coming back. He said, "I tried to negotiate with that guy for 3 years, and I don't think Francis is in John Jones a fight we all want to say. I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm still excited for him fighting Stipe though. Stipe Miocic and John Jones would be an interesting fight. I think John washes the floor with him." But it's a fight that I'm gonna want to watch anyway. I got a side question for you guys. I was thinking about this yesterday. Who do you think has the best athlete family of all time? Like lineage, right? So you got the Joneses, right?
Mannings.
2 NFL players, the best MMA fighter ever, and then his brother Chandler Jones is one of the best defensive ends to ever play the game. You have the Matthews. You have the Mannings.
No,
I'll throw Kelsey in there. Huh?
The Berries.
Yeah, Arthur's D tackle. Yep.
Yeah,
Barry
I
Bonds.
put the
Yep.
Berries in there.
Berries, yeah.
The Longs.
The Longs, oh yeah.
Jake Long, Howie Long. You know.
Put the
So
Kelseys in that
would you say
category.
is the best
What
African
about
family of all
what
time?
about don't the
I
Gasols
put the Kelseys in there.
The Gasols?
The reason I put the Kelseys is because they have the best tight end arguably of all time, him and Gronk, and then arguably one of the best centers to ever play football. So I think they should be in there somewhere. It's tough for them because they don't span generations. That's why I think it's the Matthews.
Right.
I will go Matthews.
You wouldn't say Mayweather's?
Like their lineage is crazy.
What about Bosa's?
Yeah,
Is it too early?
Bosa's a good one. You're right.
He
Bosa's
said
a
too
good
early.
one.
Yeah.
pretty good.
It's early though.
But I'm gonna
I
wait.
think the Mannings have a case with the young kid.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. But
So you wait.
I'm gonna wait to see what LeBron kids about to do. That's about to be recent too. So I'm gonna wait to see what Bronny and Bryce do because I already know what that's the GOAT. So if that's the GOAT, they probably don't gotta do that much more to become a great family. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you could have been Jordan's kids. Jordan's kids didn't live up.
No, that's a tough bill to fit.
All Jordan kids had to do was come in the NBA and just average like 12 or 13
And
for a
been
couple
good.
years. Like, look at Curry, Steph Curry, Seth, and their dad. We know they're snipers.
That's
like,
a good one, dude. That's a good one too.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. The Currys, yeah.
Here's
Yeah,
a crazy take.
they
Here's a
got a
crazy
niche.
take.
They have a niche.
Okay.
Your last name is Curry. You come from that family, we know you can shoot that ball. You know what I'm saying?
Fact though, that's facts. That's facts. But it's crazy because I always feel like the guys that were like maybe a B or C list in the league, like their kids are like the A's, like the top tiers in any league. And it's so crazy that the GOATs in the game are like their kids don't really like live up to their the expectations of that. I think the narrative might change with LeBron's kids, and he's already wanting all the smoke. He was like tweeting yesterday or today, like, oh, ain't none of these kids got shit on Bronny and Bryce and things like that. Like he's looking at the talent coming forward like in the near future, and he's like, yeah, ain't nobody touching my son right now.
Because an underrated life hack for athletes that want their kids to like really get to that like top level like that is you have to pick your partner wisely, man.
Wow, yes.
That's a good point.
Jordan's mom and dad, they picked wisely, man. That's why they created Jordan. And then he had an opportunity to choose, and it went how it went. You get what I'm saying? So you gotta choose wisely, man. Because it's different genes. The genes Michael Jordan got, that's not the same. He gave him half. He couldn't give him the whole thing.
He still only gave him half. Only couldn't give him the whole thing. Yeah, that's what you see. A lot of them they do go.
Did Savannah play ball or anything like that in high school when LeBron and her started dating?
I'm not sure.
But I mean, I think you are right. I think it was definitely like the gene pool in their family kind of like meshed well to the point where both their sons are going crazy right now, and it's probably maybe the best kind of son situation like we're getting like since the Currys,
right?
And it might be on like another level because I think Bryce is really, really good.
Yeah, I've seen some snippets of him, and I think he probably has a higher ceiling than Bronny. Just because I think Bronny got caught in like a weird height combo guard type of deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas like he's not necessarily like your traditional small guard like a Trae Young. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's also not like the 6'6", 6'5" guard as well. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what his game is like, you know what I mean, at the next level. But Bryce, I can already see that two-way guard length forward. I can see that already. Where, you know what I mean, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting though.
I love LeBron's LeVar Ball energy though. He's doing it very tasteful.
Even though who's pretty good, that their dad was kind of like a good of their time too. Not great, but he was pretty good. And now I think their son's gonna be really good in the NBA. Is Kenyon Martin Jr.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if y'all watch him or anybody. He's an undersized. His dad. His dad was like he's 6'5", 6'6". but he rebounds and scores
Yeah.
the same way his dad used to. Like, it's
Right.
crazy. But I'm excited to see what his future looks like.
No, it definitely is wild getting to watch all these past stars kids now coming up into the
Yep.
league, and you getting to see this come up. It's like you getting to watch a flashback, and you see how much comparison. And then basketball, of course, it's basketball. You do your thing in that, but even in football, these kids, playing different positions, or some playing the same position as their parents, and getting to see that like reintroduce itself on a different level. The next generation is definitely fun to watch and definitely exciting to see. What's the next thing we want to do? We talk about sports, families, UFC. Oh, what y'all think about Derek Carr going to the Saints?
I like it. It makes a lot of sense. I think. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you. Oh wait, it's my one to go.
Go ahead, bro.
Okay,
You got it,
I'm
Joey.
just hearing my little echo. No, I think it's an amazing move. I think Derek Carr deserves that. I think he's unappreciated in Oakland, especially with the new Josh McDaniels regime. To be honest with you, being a Patriots fan, I don't think Josh McDaniels is built to be a head coach, and it kind of showed again in Oakland. And it just shows the kind of the mess he's probably going to create over there, and it's unfortunate because I think Derek Carr is definitely a top talent, but I think the New Orleans Saints organization is so, one of those organizations that you mentioned earlier, before we started the show, it's one of those top tier organizations part of it. I think they're going to definitely hold it down. I think Derek Carr is going to do his job, and I know he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to have a lot to prove, and I think they'll take the division.
I mean,
I think that they're definitely going to take the division. I think they made that move because Tom is gone. The Carolina Panthers are kind of in shambles. They got some pieces in Carolina, but they don't have that quarterback that they want. Who else? Tampa. Yeah, we talked about Tampa, Carolina. So the division is up for the taking right now. But the Saints are one of these teams I feel like is in this weird limbo. They're way over the cap. They're going to have to figure that out, get some money moving around. Is Michael Thomas going to be there? Is Alvin Kamara going to be there? Cam Jordan's getting long in the tooth. And even though he's still performing at a really, really high level, but they got some pieces. They were a quarterback away, I feel like, and they'll win the division. But is it a Super Bowl contender now with Derek Carr? I wouldn't say so. I don't think so. I think they're going to get to the playoffs and make a big run. But they're one of these teams, like I said, that is in this weird limbo of Tampa's in the same boat. Do you blow it up, get money for the stars, you can get money for them, get draft picks, use it that way and rebuild? Or do you try and make big swings in free agency and get a quarterback and see if you can steal a Super Bowl like the Rams did, or, some of these teams that have made that one quarterback change, like Tampa did before that. So it's interesting to see. I do like the move. I do think they win the division unless something else huge happens, like Lamar, going to one of these teams or something like that. But other than that, I like the move.
I mean, I just feel bad for Adams going over there to play with his buddy, and then his buddy is left him high and dry out there in Vegas. I mean, granted, he's in Vegas and not in Green Bay anymore. Definitely the scenery is a lot different, but you don't have your college buddy anymore. Jude, what you got there? You look like you got something you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think the news broke yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
2 days ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's good for Derek Carr. You know what I mean? I don't know what I don't really know what direction the Saints are headed in. You know what I mean? I'm not a Dennis Allen believer. You know what I mean?
Really?
I think he's just holding a spot for somebody else. I think the Saints right now, we're kind of looking for Jameis or Andy Dalton to be a transitional quarterback so they can go find somebody and build through the draft. But like Caleb said, they maybe see an opportunity right now to kind of go after the division because they do have some really, really good veteran players that can be pieces to a championship contender-ish. You know what I mean? Especially coming out of the South, which is going to be a little weak this year. But I don't know what we're gonna get out of Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, because a lot of times that was the creativeness of Sean Payton's play design and play calling. Mm-hmm. That's why I just don't believe in Dennis Allen and the whole thing they got going on over there, because I think Derek Carr is a quarterback that needs the scheme and the supporting cast to be where they need to be in order for him to really be able to win playoff games and things like that. And I just don't think they're gonna have that down packed. I like Chris Olave though. I think Chris Olave is their new number one that they need to roll with moving forward and just figure out how they can, get the offense going around him. But like I said, I think it's better for Derek Carr than it will be for the Saints in the long run, because I just don't think between coaching and just the couple veteran pieces they have, I just don't think it's going to be enough to really take them to the next level.
I mean, Caleb's talked about this a lot with defensive-minded head coaches, taking over now and not having much success.
I was about to say that.
Without having a good offensive coordinator. Tampa's going through that right now, hiring the coach out of Seattle, Canales, and now you got Dennis Allen, who's been a great defensive coordinator for a long time with New Orleans. Now you got to take over as we were talking about earlier, you got to plug in the offensive schemes and do all this extra stuff that you're not familiar with doing for so long when you have a great offensive minded and a great quarterback developer in Sean Payton. I don't think anybody can argue that he's won with no matter who the quarterback was under center. But I agree with you. It's going to be I don't know what they're going to do as far as offense. You got something to add, Jude?
Yeah, I also would like to say, that's another thing that's getting kind of a little bit out of hand is the notion that the coordinator has to go hand in hand with, a defensive head coach needs to get an offensive coordinator that's this and that. I think the only thing that you're seeing as trending is the team that decides that you're going to identify what their identity is going to be as a football team. It really doesn't matter who kind of head coach coordinator that combination is, because they decided what that organization, what the identity is going to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you look at New Orleans, necessarily, you don't really know what the identity of that team is. No. And I think that's why sometimes it's hard. You go out there, you pick a free agent quarterback, and it's great, but you really don't know what the identity of your football team is. And it doesn't matter whether it's coming from the head coach, the players, or whatever. They just don't have that. You know what I mean?
So you're saying basically, okay, let me ask you what you're saying. Do you still think that a defensive-minded coach in 2023, right, moving forward, can not have a superstar offensive coordinator quarterback combination, right, and still compete for Super Bowls?
Yes, I do.
I don't see it anymore. I think the league has evolved from that. You think they can?
I think they can. I think the league has evolved in that because it's a copycat league. Everybody's doing what they see other teams do.
For sure.
It doesn't make it right.
Yeah. Right.
It does not make it right. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't make it right. I believe that it's all about the identity of the head coach that he passes on to the football team. I think that's what makes certain football teams successful. Okay. The Titans, they haven't won any Super Bowls, but I fuck with Mike Vrabel, bro. You know why? Because I know the identity of the Titans.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. Tennessee Titans, they know.
I feel that.
So yes, he hasn't gotten
I feel that
quarterback offensive coordinator combination, but he didn't pick Tannehill, and he picked Malik Willis either. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna end up on a sword that he didn't even put there. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of defensive coaches get put in that situation where offensive coaches don't get in that situation. You get hired as an offensive head coach, your GM goes out there and gets you a Wade Phillips. They go out there and get you somebody that they know for a fact is going to handle the defense so that you can handle the offense. Right. A lot of the times these defensive coaches, like Jonathan Gannon, getting hired in at the Arizona Cardinals, no head coaching experience, has never hired a coach in his life. Now he got to go figure out who his offensive coordinator is going to be. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's for me. I don't think they can, bro. I think I've seen too much, and as far as I'll give an example, like the Bills, right? Josh Allen struggled early on when Sean McDermott was his coach. He struggles early on. They get Brian Dable in that building and Stephon Diggs, and instantly life changes. Dude starts getting on this trajectory, having great seasons. Turnovers go way, 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 way down. Production goes up. Brian Dable leaves. Josh Allen looks like Josh Allen from 2018 again. Yep. Turning the ball over, making bad choices in those situations. Like you said, Detroit, not Detroit, the Tennessee, they have a great culture and he's doing a great job. But without that quarterback, and they have a great running game, a really, really good defense. Their defense is underrated, right? Really good defense. but they get that quarterback. They get a quarterback. I think it changes. I'll give you another one. The prince that was promised, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence looked like a bust his first year with dude from Ohio State. What's his name again?
Urban
Urban Meyer. Yeah, he looked awful with Urban Meyer. He gets a new coach,
Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson. Literally in 1 year, like
Super Bowl winning coach.
Just like that.
Just like that. They went from the worst team in the league to a playoff team. They won 10 games this year, and it changed that quick. The Bengals were buns. They get their quarterback. They have a good OC in 1 year, just like that. It changes that quick, right? And so for me, I think that it's in the new league. It is a copycat league, and you can have a defensive-minded coach and a defensive coordinator. But I think if you have a young quarterback who's a good prospect, I think you need that OC to kind of help groom him, because you can't win without a good quarterback play. It's not going to happen anymore. Those days are over.
I really wish you would have used the Super Bowl winning examples that you had to your disposal, like Sean McVay.
I mean, yeah. Okay, but no. So look.
In my estimation,
that's a given, though.
In my estimation,
that's a given, though. Like it's Pat Mahomes and the Eagles and
everybody that you've latched on with that great offensive skill set of being a great coordinator. All of their defensive coordinators are always up for head coaching gigs and head coaching jobs. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
What I'm saying is that these guys have just fallen in a situation where they've gotten balance. Most of the coaches, the defensive coaches that get those jobs, like the examples I made, the Brian Flores's, the Jonathan Gannons, the Ron Rivera's, they have to figure out who the offensive coordinator is going to be on their own. You get what I'm saying? They don't get the leniency of saying, hey, you get to handle the defense, but if the offense doesn't perform well, the blame still falls on you as the head coach. You get what I'm saying? But we don't praise them for the defense being good. We don't praise Ron Rivera all the time for the defense being good, even if he was in Carolina. That's how they got to the Super Bowl in the first place against the Broncos. You know what I'm saying? They had an identity, though. You can't tell me what type of coach John Harbaugh is. He's a special teams coach, but the Ravens have an identity, bro. That's why they're successful. You can't tell me what type of coach Mike Tomlin is, but Pittsburgh has an identity, bro. That's what's successful. The only thing that's changed with the Bengals and the Bills and all these other teams is that they gained an identity.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Now we know the Bengals' identity. They got Joe Burrow, they got Zach Taylor, they sling it around everywhere. You know what I'm saying? That's all that matters, bro. Your team has to gain an identity. It doesn't really matter whether it's an offensive coach or a defensive coach. If you want to be a successful franchise in the NFL, your team has to take on an identity. When Bruce Arians and Tom Brady came down to Tampa, they brought an identity to Tampa.
That's true. That's facts.
You know what I'm saying? The franchise took on a different aura. There was a different confidence within the players, everybody. You know what I mean? So that's what matters. You know what I mean? Mike Shanahan gave the 49ers an identity, but DeMeco Ryan still got a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got a tough one.
Robert Saleh still got a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I will say Robert Saleh, he's one. Robert Saleh definitely is to the identity in New York. I was able to be there and kind of like how he turned that franchise around and what he did with drafting. I was very impressed by him. He hit the draft out the park. He hit every draft pick. He didn't. Maybe Mekhi Becton might be the only one that is up for debate right now. But he crushed everything. I mean, let me end this.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah, he's just been hurt. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's just been injured. He hasn't had a full season in 3 years.
Right.
So that's the only reason why it's up for debate. But he hasn't missed, bro. I mean, to hit Sauce, to get the offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, and really the offensive rookie of the year is going to be Breece Hall before he got hurt. Who had like 1,000 yards in 10 games.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Like 1,000 yards in 10 games.
Yeah,
he's going nuts. But Jude, you brought up the. Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I was gonna bring in another point. We were talking about young QBs. Offensive coordinator, coaching, and identities. And I know Joey said earlier that he's a Patriots fan. Well, you're going through that yourself. Do you really believe in Matt Jones? What do you guys think about that?
I think he's okay. Like you can't really get much out of Mac Jones. I'm not gonna expect him to, scramble out the pocket or make things happen with his feet when he gets rushed. I think he's the way he throws the football is it's fairly accurate. He can be efficient. I think he showed a lot of he got a lot of praise his rookie season. Obviously, he got to a Pro Bowl, but this year was you saw the difference, and it goes down to the OC, not knowing who the hell you're answering to or you're getting the plays from. And, Belichick.
Was Patricia calling the offense?
Yeah, it was so weird. You got the defensive guy calling the offensive plays. It was kind of a shit show, but, Belichick's the mad scientist, and it's hard as a Patriots fan to really go against the Belichickian way. But, I think that might be kind of diluting a little bit, and it showed this season. But hopefully, with the new with Bill O'Brien coming back and, familiar face in the organization, taking a helm of the offense, I think we could possibly see some, improvement in Mac Jones in his play at quarterback. But I wasn't, after this past season, I wasn't sold, but I can't really take too much away from him because of his, offensive coordinator situation that was going on, or whatever the hell they wanted to call it over in New England. But I want to give him another year to see kind of where, how it all gels together with Bill O'Brien calling the plays. So, but Mac Jones, I think, from rookie season play, I thought he was pretty solid. A lot of room for improvement.
I like Mac. I like Mac for the Patriots. I think Mac fits what they're trying to do. He had a pretty solid rookie year. He kind of fell off towards the end there. I just think the Patriots have a way, and they've had the luxury of having Tom Brady for 20-something years, whatever it was, 21 years.
Yeah.
And you can't, everybody's not him, right? He's the guy who you can yell at him. I saw Bill curse at him, put him in front of the board, do all that kind of stuff like that. And he's going to come in and he's going to get everybody on the same page. His greatness radiates through an organization. Tampa saw it that fast, right? It happened that fast with Tampa. I think when he's a guy where you can have things not be perfect around him, at least early on in his career, and he's still going to make things okay. There's not a lot of those quarterbacks in the NFL. There's not any other Tom Brady's. There's not a lot of Patrick Mahomes or, look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts struggled his first, 2 years. And then you get pieces around him, get him a star receiver, get the coordinator stuff figured out, and he plays better. I think Mac has talent. I think Mac can get it done. I think Bill O'Brien will help them. I think this year was a scrap. I mean, Matt Patricia, I like him as a dude. I played for him, but he's not an OC. He's not an offensive coordinator. And I think a big deal, players have to respect that you know what you're talking about.
Right.
And if you don't know offense, you're trying to tell me about offense when I've with Josh McDaniels, who not a great head coach, but a very, very good coordinator, right? Or I'll take that back. He got Tom Brady, right? But I think I like what they're doing for him. I like the Bill O'Brien hire. Yeah, well, I had to walk that one back when I said it because the jury's still out. But I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing with Mac. I think it'll be a better year for him. Bill O'Brien is a quarterback whisperer, supposedly. So we shall see.
Yeah, I'm not on the Mac Jones
Jude?
train. I'm not big on the Mac Jones train whatsoever. I think him even being drafted where he was a complete reach. I think sometimes when it's hard to evaluate tape from Alabama quarterbacks, especially during that era there, because there's no one really around them when they're throwing the ball a lot of times. It was a lot of RPO. The receivers are running scot-free. So I think personally, I like what I saw from Bailey Zappi in a couple games this season. I think he has a lot more upside. His arm is stronger. I like the way he threw with anticipation. And I think flat out, he threw the ball more in college. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
His film was better. So I think it's in the best interest of the Patriots to make this an open competition in training camp so that they can get the best out of Mac Jones too. But I hope that Bill O'Brien makes a difference in giving the team an identity. And I really hope that they go out there and invest in getting these guys some help.
Yeah, we need perimeter, man.
I mean, with all due respect,
it's not gonna happen, bro.
I swear, if I was to line up in the NFL right now and we going against the Patriots receiving core day week in and week out as a DB, I'm loving this, man. I'm loving this really because I look out there and there's nobody that really can separate. There's nobody that's explosive. Any NFL receiver in this day and age should be able to back shoulder fade here and there and catch a bang 8 coming across the middle. But they really got to get this guy a playmaker. I mean, some of these quarterbacks look good because they got a guy that can make a 6-yard hitch and take it to the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think the Patriots are missing that. So But I'm not really high on Mac Jones. I
The
think
Patriots, bro.
But I'm not high.
I don't understand
The
the Patriots,
bro.
never wanting to draft a receiver or trade for a big time receiver. Like, I mean, we hit it out the park 1 year with Randy. That was about it, and ever since it's just been nothing.
From what I can tell, Bill Belichick is the kind of guy who he seems to not just want the best player, but he wants a certain kind of player that he's going to like to coach,
right,
and like to be around. So for him, it's not about going and splashing cash in free agency and getting the best available guy who can probably help us. No, I'm gonna go get the guy who I like to hang out with. The guy, the guy who I think is like coachable, hard worker, Patriot. Yeah, maybe not a beard because he's not your friend at all. But like he wants Patriot type of guys, like the Patriot way type of guys, not just stars. So I think that kind of handcuffs him and hinders him in what they're doing with the offense in general.
Yeah, no, I understand.
The Patriots never pay anybody.
You don't always have to go to free agency to get those guys either, though. I think they just consistently miss on evaluating draft picks. You know what I mean? And it's okay. Some franchises do that. The Baltimore Ravens still can't get a receiver right. You know what I mean? And I think that some franchises just don't know how to evaluate certain players. But I think sometimes when you get the ego of how you want to run certain things and the character of guys and everything that you want in the building, sometimes that may stop you from winning some football games. And I really hope that doesn't end up being what happens to Bill Belichick in New England. But I just know that there's been some guys that have played in New England that are not necessarily like what people would consider Belichick type guys. You know what I mean? You wouldn't look at LeGarrette Blount's career before he got there.
No.
Belichick guy. You know what I mean?
No.
So I think there's always exceptions when you can ball. You know what I mean? I just think that New England has misidentified guys who can ball at the receiver position for a while. You know what I mean? They drafted Nikhil Harry. Like, you know what I'm saying? They them. They pick guys and they just miss.
That's a good point. Well, that kind of
So go ahead, Blake.
I was going to say it kind of segues into what I wanted to talk about next. Both of you guys prepare for this. You guys both played in the league, 2 different positions. Is the NFL Combine a shit show? Like, is the numbers do the numbers not match the play of some people? Is it a favor? Is it a favoritism type thing? Because to me, and I posted on Twitter year after year, I'm seeing more and more of guys day 2 and day 3 guys filling these rosters and becoming stars versus the guys that they're promoting on the pedestal these days. I mean, what is your guys' opinion on this?
I think the problem with the Combine is sometimes you have guys go out there and put up crazy numbers, and then you let the crazy numbers deceive you from the tape that you watched all year. The Combine should just reassure what you already know. Like, okay, he looks explosive. Oh, he has a good broad jump. He looks fast. Oh, he ran a 4.4 or whatever it is. It shouldn't be, oh, this dude is 6'5", 225 pounds, runs a 4.4, jumps out the gym, has a good bench, and can throw a pretty deep ball. But it's like, I did watch you throw 20 picks last year. So am I going to forget about all the interceptions you threw because you look good in shorts and a t-shirt? Yeah, because you look good in shorts and a t-shirt. So for me, it's like people draft GMs end up losing their jobs because they hitch themselves to this passion project that they think is like, oh, he looks like Tarzan, he's fast, I can make this guy into a really good player, instead of just drafting the really good player. I think that's kind of people fall into that trap all the time, and that's why you see these misses, because everybody wants to be the guy who found, the next gem or the next whatever it is. I'm like, no, dude, watch the tape. These guys have 2-3 years of film. Yeah, okay, he ran a 4.6. Does he look like he runs a 4.6 on the tape? Is he separating from guys in the SEC? Is he getting open, right? And, look at those things and then pick that way. So I think that's the problem with the draft is people get enamored with all these numbers. And, yeah, it's cool. It looks cool. I think that it should reinforce what the tape says. It shouldn't be the reason you draft somebody.
Right.
I agree with what he said, but I don't think it's a crapshoot. And I think it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Like, I think the only people that are getting deceived in the whole process are like kind of like us, like the fans and the consumer of football. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, man, the scouts know who they're about to pick. You know what I'm saying? The scouts know who's on their board, and the scouts have evaluated people that are going to fit into their scheme and what they're trying to do, because a lot of times is you can't just, I agree with the tape thing, but you also just can't justify picking a guy just based off tape, because a lot of guys are tapped out. You know what I'm saying? Some of those All-Americans that you're watching on college, that's as good as they're going to be.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And there's some guy that, just came out here and didn't have that much production and ran a 4.3, that if coached correctly and taught the right techniques, this guy's an all-pro talent. And that All-American, that's as good as he was going to be as that All-American. You know what I mean? Because that's what I realized when I went to the NFL it wasn't necessarily about how good you were in college or anything like that. It was about how does your skill set and your game fit into this 53-man roster, and can you dominate the matchup that's in front of you on that down? That's all that really matters. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes they're looking at it from a point of view is like, yeah, we want to run this scheme with this type of guy, so we're going to the combine to see if we can find the guys that check this box. So you see certain teams, they'll look for a guy, or if you're not 6'2", if you're not this, if you're not that, if you don't run this, that's fine. That's the way they want to bring in guys in their organization and develop them. But I think it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Guys are going there, running fast, making more money because they're running fast, as they should be. And there are certain teams that are looking at that, like Caleb said, are taking it too far. But for the most part, you have to look at it for what it is and take it home and see how it can work for you and your franchise. You know what I mean? But I don't think you just go off just the tape alone sometimes, because some guys are tapped out, dude. Like sometimes the guys that you think, oh, they dominated this, the SEC and that's about all they're going to dominate. And sometimes you see the D2 guy that got drafted in the 5th round, by year 3, year 4, he catches on and it's like, oh, this shit easy. You know what I mean? So that's where it's kind of like you got to take the information, process it, and figure out how it could work for your advantage.
Joey, you got anything?
Happy medium.
I think Jude said it like very on point, and Caleb and Jude have been through the process before of doing it. Being a fan, just tuning into the combine at times. I'm always kind of worried about it because me being personally and not having any experience whatsoever in that realm, just kind of looking at it like, okay, cool, they're running fast, and yes, they're getting a contract, they're getting paid, which is obviously, the goal at the end of the day is obviously make, hopefully generational wealth for the family, all that. But my thing is more so like, I want to see how it all translates on the field. And I think Jude said it perfectly. It's just like, having that certain skill set that just fits the organization or what you're looking for at the moment. So it all makes sense to me now, how I look at the combine as a fan, seeing it from, that perspective now, because, I'm just looking at like, well, you can't really, teach heart. Yeah, you can run fast. Yes, you can do all this stuff, but do you have that heart to kind of really, bring that championship or in a few years or whatnot, or mold yourself into a Tom Brady-esque somebody who probably was drafted late in the draft and really superseded their expectations, and that's just my whole thing. And it's like it's really hard to kind of determine from the outside looking in from my perspective, because some of these guys that get drafted in the 1st round, some of them just don't really pan out to be what they are, and it's the guys that be in the 4th round, the 3rd, the 6th, that are really the dogs.
But that's not what
that's most of the league.
Yeah, and that's what I've kind of learned kind of too, is through my experience. I went undrafted. You know what I mean? Now, like, I knew I could play in the NFL, but the reality of my situation is that I could really look back and say, okay, the tape probably wasn't like banging out like this is 1st round talent. You know what I mean? Because then I'm looking at certain guys that they did pick in the 1st round when I came out, and I could see the upside that they saw in those guys as athletes, bringing them in as football players, playing them next to the guys that they had. You know what I mean? So I could get the process with that, but it doesn't mean that a guy isn't necessarily going to be a good football player based on where he's drafted. Sometimes they just see a potential to draft a player who another team would see the potential as, oh, okay, this player has a higher ceiling than you, so we're just going to draft him earlier because he may not be available. You know what I mean? Every coach in the NFL has this ego about themselves that if you're a college player, you just haven't been coached correctly to bring the best potential out of you. And when you come under my tutelage, I'm going to make you an all-pro. Every coach in the NFL got that ego about themselves, whether they like to admit it or not. They just think your college coach didn't know shit.
Right.
Even if you were drafted in the 1st round, they think he ain't no shit. You know what I'm saying? So they take that and they're like, they make it about themselves a little bit and be like, I'm gonna get this guy, woo woo. Where in actuality, everything that you guys are saying does come to pass. Some guys just don't pan out, some guys don't let it game, some guys don't have it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of good football players in that meat of the draft, and that I think all the time. I love watching the 3rd through 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. It's usually the guys that I'm saying, like, man, he was a baller.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Those are usually the guys that I remember, like, this guy probably was one of the best at his conference at his position for like 2-3 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I played against or watched him and said, that guy can play ball. And he won't hear his name called to the 4th, 5th, 6th round. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that he was the best.
It's so funny to me, bro, when I see stuff like, we need to get rid of that Mr. Irrelevant name. Because it's so disrespectful.
Brock Purdy,
right?
I think Brock Purdy deaded it.
Yeah, Brock Purdy got it.
It's so disrespectful. He deaded it after this. But anyway, people go and they're like, oh man, like, I can't believe this dude's a 5th round pick. He's such a good player. I'm like, bro, do you know what it took to get to a 5th round pick?
Yeah, for sure.
You know how good he had to be to get drafted in the 5th round? It's not easy, dude. I'm just like, so like, I remember like when I became a starter and they're like, oh man, like, you know, Caleb was in the 5th round. I said, dude, I had 38 straight starts at UCLA. I was a freshman All-American. I wasn't no slouch.
Right.
Like, you feel me? Like, it takes a lot to get there. So when these kids come out and they perform, right? Like when they perform and they do well, and you have these guys like the 5th round corner in Seattle who had a great rookie year,
Yep.
and they had like a 6th round tackle who started at left tackle for him and balled out. I'm like, yeah, these are good football players, and they picked it up fast, and they're hungry. The guys who get drafted later, they are hungry. They're in there every single day. They barely got a signing bonus. So they
baby.
Yeah. But you know another thing.
I tell people all the time. Go ahead, bro.
You know another thing also goes unnoticed about the draft a lot of times is when you really like look at it after it's over and look at like all the picks that were picked, right? Does anyone actually go over and like this, not decipher, but like kind of like look at by position who all were drafted? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes the draft and the team, the needs of the team may lean a certain way that makes a player fall in the draft or makes a player fall out of the draft. It doesn't mean that the guy wasn't a top 5 or top 10 player at his position just because he went later in the round. They might have picked 3 quarterbacks in the 1st round, and they didn't pick another quarterback to the 4th round because nobody in between needed a quarterback.
Right.
And it happens with a lot of positions all the time. Like, for instance, I'm a DB. I know that there's a few special ones all the time that get picked in the 1st round. They're going to be, but sometimes there's a lot of teams in the back end of that 1st round that need DBs. So you'll see a lot of DBs that have 2nd round, 3rd round grades go late in the 1st round because 6-7 teams picked in a row that needed a corner or a safety. Yeah. So now there's this expectation that this guy's a 1st round caliber player, but the team just addressed the need earlier than they had to. It doesn't necessarily mean that the middle linebacker that's about to go in the 3rd round, he might have been the 2nd best middle linebacker in the draft. You know what I mean? So sometimes I think people don't get the full picture of what the draft looked like at the end. Because they'll be like, oh, this guy fell in the draft or this. No, there just wasn't a need for him. So he kind of like, there's a lot of logistics that go on in the draft that people don't know about, that sometimes it gives you like this perception of like, oh, they missed or oh, they reached. No, they were trying to fill a need.
You picked what you needed. No doubt. I definitely get that one. The next thing.
I got a question for you, Jude.
All right, go ahead.
I'm curious on your take on this, Jude. So the Bucs are one of those teams I talked about earlier that's kind of like in limbo. I don't know if that's what you're about to bring up, Blake. I think the Bucs are kind of in limbo, right? They're over the cap. They lost a quarterback. They have a 2nd round pick that they drafted that sat for 2 years in Kyle Trask. Jason Light already says that he's going to start basically, and the head coach Todd Bowles said we have to compete for the job. They're going to bring in a cheap, I say cheap, but couple $1 million a year quarterback to come be the backup guy. If you're the Bucs, do you try and see if you hang on to your stars, hang on to a Mike Evans, hang on to a Shaq Barrett, give Devin White his big contract, like hang on to the offensive line? Do you do that, or do you think it's time to blow it up, get what you can for your stars, trade Mike Evans, or Mike Evans is playing for a rookie quarterback, see how the team looks, and give give what's his name, Kyle Trask, a chance to see if he's a guy. Like, how do you move forward if you're the Bucks? I have my own ideas, but I'm curious to see what you think.
Great. So it all depends. Is like, who am I trying to, like, who am I? I'm trying to service? Because this question goes a long way. Like, when I look at it from a GM and a coach standpoint, from right now, I don't know what the years and stuff that are left on their contracts and things like that, but they got to play.
Jason Light re-upped. Jason Light chilling. He re-upped. He got a new 5-year deal.
They got to play friendly to that. You know what I mean? So if I'm him, I'm playing friendly to my contract, which means if I have an extension and I know I have time here, we're blowing this thing up and we're rebuilding it. You know what I'm saying? That way I give myself some time. I go get a guy that me and the next coach, even Bowles, like, I love Todd Bowles, but Bruce Arians kind of just fell off and then just handed Todd Bowles the head coaching job. And now there's no real like kind of like scapegoat to like kind of push the blame on or anything like that for what's might or might not happen in the next couple of years. So if I'm both of them, I sit down and I look at it and I look at every veteran that can allow me some cap room, thank them for their service and send them on their way to go somewhere where they can compete for a championship, because we're about to start this thing over. They don't have any players that I think that right now are in their prime enough that you're like, man, can't afford to waste this guy's years. And the guys that are a little bit past their prime, they've gotten their ring, so they are not trying to really be a part of a rebuild. So unless a Mike Evans is trying to be a Buck for life and not ever wear another uniform, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know how cap-friendly Chris Godwin's contract was. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of like uncertainties, but like I said, outside of Tristan Wirfs,
did you trade Devin White?
Devin White, he's under contract.
Vita Vea.
This is last year.
Outside of Tristan Wirfs, Vita Vea.
Last year.
Tristan Wirfs, Vita Vea, Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield Jr.
Jamil Dean's a free agent.
And what's the other defensive end, number 9?
Oh, Joe Tryon.
Outside of those are the only guys right now that we're not having conversations about. You know what I mean?
I agree.
But outside of
100%.
those guys that are named that are young, under 25, still under the rookie contract, or even Carlton Davis, you just paid him recently. But these guys are like cornerstones in certain position groups that you can build with. Vita Vea in the interior D line.
Yeah.
Tryon as a rush. Carlton Davis as a cornerback. Winfield as a safety. And then you got Tristan Wirfs on the offensive line. But outside of those guys, there's nobody that we're not having conversations about in terms of moving on and trying to find a cap-friendly situation that allows us to get younger, get more draft capital, to infuse competition into this roster and try to see where we can build forward. Because I get it. Go get Jimmy Garoppolo, hold you over a couple years, hang on. That ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? It's just not gonna do it. You're gonna sign a bunch of vets on 1, 2, 3 year deals. They're gonna come to Tampa. That sun gonna hit them. You know, they're gonna be like, "Oof, I'm
chilling."
I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? So I think their best bet is get younger, infuse competition into the roster. They got extensions on their contracts, so they can afford to go get a guy and say, "Hey, we want to go watch this thing develop." You know. I don't like how they did that Byron Leftwich thing. I feel like if Byron Leftwich should go, then everybody else should have went with him. But I
agree.
That is what it is. Because there's no way one guy is a head coaching candidate, and then a whole year later, you pin the entire blame of what happened dysfunctionally on offense on him when we know who was really running the offense.
Don't tell Bucks fans that. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the way Bucks fans jumped ship on Byron Leftwich was so crazy to me, because this is the same man who won a Super Bowl, had the number one offense in the league, hit 2 out of his 3 years, and then in 1 year he forgets how to coach just because certain guys are playing bad. I didn't like that at all, but I'm with you though. I think the Bucks should blow it up. I think you should get what you can for Mike and Donovan, and like these are all, you know, our friends, right? So keep those guys there. They need to just, I made this joke earlier. They should give Tristan Wirfs a blank check and say, just write your price, because he's that good, right? And so keep those guys, get younger, get under the cap, because you see a lot of teams like the Saints are doing it now. They keep pushing back their cap hits, and they're gonna have a bunch of dead money. They're gonna have a bunch of you don't want to be always fighting the cap and being over the cap and like the Rams are. But I think blow it up. I think you see what Kyle Trask has, but I think they should go all for the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, the quarterback from USC. I think he's one of those generational talents. I think if he was in this year's draft class, he'd be the number one guy taken without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
So I say go all in for Caleb Williams without a doubt. The dude is special. Like the kid since he was at Oklahoma, like the kid can sling it, man. And I'm a UCLA guy, and I can still say that because he's special. And so I think that should be their goal. You can give Kyle Trask his chance to see if he plays well, if he can be that guy. And if not, I say don't wait, man. Like look at there's this idea that you draft somebody, you have to kind of let this total thing play out. That's not the NFL anymore. Josh Rosen went number 10, and the very next year they drafted Kyler Murray number 1 overall. Yeah. Like they will go and they will move off you quick. And so see what he has. If he's not try and get that Caleb Williams pick.
A GM that did that and a coach that did that is a GM and a head coach that get on the same page about where they're headed. You know, Steve Kahn looked at the situation that, hey, I have a chance to start with a new coach on a new contract. I'm not sticking with the old quarterback that we picked. Right. We often pick a new sword, and if we die, that's the sword we're going to die on. Right. And I feel like now, Todd Bowles, Jason Light's best bet is to get on a cord together and say, all right, we here together for this, and this is how we about to move forward with it. Maybe keeping Mike Evans because I'm telling you, you need that veteran presence.
And you got to sell tickets. And I think he's the big draw.
Need the OG.
You know the Glazers trying to sell them tickets now.
Oh
yeah.
Got to sell them tickets, but you need some championship pedigree still on that roster. You know what I mean? The worst thing they could do is get all the championship pedigree guys, get a young roster, and then be out here like some of these other teams who, you know what I mean, always committing penalties in the fourth quarter and stuff. So you need that's what it is. Some of these teams don't got nobody in the locker room. They don't got nobody on the sideline. You know what I mean? And that matters. And now that the Bucs have been fortunate to win a championship in such recent years, they got to keep some of those guys with that championship pedigree on the roster just for that. You know what I mean? But I feel like as far as like trying to get cap friendly, like you said, it would be in their best interest to do so rather than trying to spend some money for some 1-year vets. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
What if Lamar Jackson becomes available?
Well, I mean, he is. He's a free agent.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they franchise him, but I know he's not going to play.
Don't ask me, man, because I'm not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan. So don't ask me. I'm a Bucs fan. I wouldn't want that for the Bucs. In terms of like,
really?
No.
Interesting.
We're falling into another situation now where you want Lamar Jackson to come in a situation where Todd Bowles is his head coach.
No, probably not. That's probably not the best idea.
Yeah,
probably not the best idea. But I mean, honestly, do you think Todd Bowles keeps this job past this year?
No,
I don't.
Not
I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. I think they go on.
You know, they're gonna work something out. You know what I mean? Like some type of hey, thank you. Like we're just gonna.
Especially if Tampa ends up with one of those top 10 picks, to where it's hey, we're getting a new quarterback. Like we're gonna draft one of these good quarterbacks. They're not bringing a new quarterback with Todd Bowles. I just don't see that happening at all.
The league and go get a young, bright offensive mind or something.
Yeah. Some 30-something-year-old.
Yeah, young gunner.
What they need to do is find somebody that's up and coming that can replenish that energy and that identity that Bruce Arians brought when he came. I'm telling you, when I was talking to some of the players, when Bruce came, it was just different. Because Bruce confidence, you know what I'm saying? Swagger.
Yeah.
They need to find another coach that has that identity that can bring the Bucs that identity. Past 2 times Bucs won championship now, it was due to an identity. Tampa 2, Tom Brady and Bruce Arians bringing that swagger and that championship pedigree. Now you got to go find somebody that can give you an identity, man. That's how you win.
And a coach that can enforce, put the discipline on these guys and get everybody to, get everybody straight.
But they're good now.
And that's another thing that happens with going younger too, is a lot of times guys get stuck in their ways, especially when you have veterans. You do have the good guys. There's guys like Mike Evans and stuff like that who Mike is a team guy. He comes to work, does what he has to do. But when you have a whole bunch of old veterans on your team, the message gets stale. Guys made a bunch of money. They're sitting in there. They're not really trying to listen to the coach, give them no speech about running sprints after practice. He's like, dude, I'm going home, bro. Like, I'm not gonna see my kids, you know. But when you get younger and you have these guys that you're drafting fresh out of college, they just trying to make it still. Like they in the NFL, but their dream is just starting to get realized, and it's a lot more energy there. Like, look at the Detroit Lions. They got super young. They got a coach who has an identity, and like Jude said, and they drafted well, and those guys are humming, right? And I think it was one of the coolest things. Their coach, I forget, Dan Campbell. They asked him about his quarterback, Jared Goff. He said, well, you know, we do like Jared, and Jared has done a lot for us. You know, but he's basically like the girlfriend, not the wife. Yeah, he basically said, like, hey, Joe's going to be here, but Joe doesn't have 10 years left on his career. Yeah. But we're going to look around for quarterbacks. So we love what Jared's done for us. So after a while, it just, you know, stuff gets stale. I don't know where the Rams go from here. I know Judah talked about Matthew Stafford earlier, because I know you think he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. I just don't know where they go from here. It's, again, they're another team that's very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Aaron Donald isn't getting any younger. Jalen Ramsey has not looked like Jalen Ramsey the last couple of years. You know what I mean? And so that's another team that they have to figure out some pieces. Like they got exposed, I think, the most at their left tackle position this year. They had no answer for after Whitworth left, and they didn't do a good job filling that replacing that starter. And so yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Well, you can't do that when you say fucking picks. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, everybody now is smart.
Yeah. Hey, they said
everybody that's got smarter than the infrastructure that was built for football. You get what I'm saying? Everybody thinks they're smarter and they're wittier than the infrastructure that was built. Franchise were meant to be, you build championship teams through the draft, bro, and you add pieces in free agency.
Yes.
Period. That is the formula. You get a coach, you get an identity, you have players that fit the scheme, fit the identity of what you're trying to do, and you add pieces in free agency. The Rams were smart. Oh, we're going to trade him. We're going to fuck them picks, all of that. Now you got no depth. You got a bunch of slots playing next to Hall of Famers, and it looks like chaos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got an all-pro like Ramsey playing next to a bunch of other slaps. It's gonna look like chaos. You know what I'm saying? You got Bobby Wagner playing against around a bunch of slaps. It's gonna look like chaos.
He said, "Ain't no Cam Chancellor out here. Where he at? Where Cam at?"
Does this hurt? Does this hurt the Niners going forward? As far as like, because trading for Christian McCaffrey, how many picks they gave up for Christian?
And they paying him handsomely.
Does it hurt the Niners?
Like, will the same
because they give
fuck them picks mentality like eventually like mess with the Niners going forward?
I don't think so.
Nah.
I think John Lynch.
Nah, the Niners.
Yeah, I think John Lynch has a different way of going about building that team. And we know the Niners' identity. You know what I'm saying? We know they're going to be good in the trenches, defensive line, and we know they're going to try to run the football. I think he made a move to enhance his football team from an identity perspective. And I don't think they're ever going to be wrong in doing that. They added so much value to their team by adding the Christian McCaffrey. I can understand why you would give up some draft picks to do that, especially when you know that you're going to go into the draft this year anyway. You're going to look at the best defensive lineman. You're going to look at the best offensive line. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're going to go look at and how they're going to build the team. The Rams don't. They knew Whitworth was 40 for how long now?
Right. Right. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming.
That's negligent. You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's LA. I mean, they just want to get the names and trying to fill the seats. So
they're gonna do that, all right. The Chargers are coming though.
Yeah. Herbert just got to stay healthy.
Oh yeah.
He was banged up.
Oh yeah.
Last year.
They got Kellen Moore this year. He'll be better.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
He ain't have a coach last year.
What are you guys' thoughts on this whole Ja Morant situation? And then I want to tie it into Kyrie Irving as well.
It's so crazy. I just actually managed to get a pair of Ja's like new sneakers. I had a homie that went out to All-Star Weekend and picked up a pair, and his sneakers actually really dope. And it's sad that this is happening. You know, he's getting ready to release his shoe. His team's second in the West, and then you're out here holding a gun in a strip club, dog, shirtless.
You know, the Ja Morants are just the reworked Kyries, right? It's the same shoe.
To an extent, there's some. It's more low. It's a low, and
Okay,
there's other
Joey.
unique.
Okay, Joey.
Yeah, it's.
Hey,
I can do my sneaker
they
analytics.
they plagiarized Kyrie Irving's. It's like, okay, like when you was in college, you just rearrange a sentence and just say it's yours. Add a couple extra days and ands in there. That's what they did with that shoe, man. It's the Kyrie Irving shoe. But
I mean, there's only so much Nike can do with these signature shoes, man. And it's like so hard. And with the Kyrie situation being what it is, like, I mean, now like they focus on Ja Morant, who's like our new generation's Iverson.
Yeah.
With social media this time.
Yeah.
So, Iverson ain't have all that.
No, he got lucky.
So for those who don't know, let's run through like the timeline, what's been going on the last few months with Ja. He had an incident in the summer, I believe, where he was playing basketball at a court and he got into it with a 17-year-old allegedly like showed him a gun, punched him in his head, beat him up. Then earlier this season, his homeboy was at the basketball game, sitting courtside. He gets into it with the opposing team's player. He has to get scored out of the stadium. Him and Ja Morant leave the stadium together at the end of the game. They allegedly point a red beam, which is on a gun, at the bus of the opposing team, allegedly. And now he's on IG Live at an away game with his shirt off, holding a gun at the club, right? Like, what are you guys' thoughts on just kind of like how that stuff is transpiring? I don't want to, yeah. What do you guys think? I'm interested to see what y'all think about this.
Who wants to first?
Man,
go ahead, Jude.
I really I got a lot of feelings about it, but a lot of them aren't really centered like, around like me trying to be negative towards him and decisions that he's making, because I think he's a kid who ran into a lot of success and money and notoriety and is probably surrounded by a very enabling environment that allows him just to kind of like do whatever he wants due to the status and the money and everything that has involved. So he's making the decisions that I think a lot of young, dumb, ignorant, athletes, or even anybody that's coming into success that young, and it is influenced by a culture that we glorify in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna sit here and rant negatively about him and the decisions that he's making. I am, however, shocked that people like his father and guys on the team, which I looked on the roster, they don't got no OGs. So I know ain't nobody sat him down and be like, yo,
Steven Adams, but
younger, you trip. And Steven Adams younger than Steven Adams, 28. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Steven Adams super young. But he don't really got no guidance. And I think that's what we're just seeing is the same reflection we see in a society where when young people who have a lot of talent or have a lot of potential don't have the right guidance and don't have the right influences around them, they end up making a lot of bad and dumb decisions. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just a byproduct of what we're seeing. And I think we need to hold him accountable, but we also need to hold his environment and the people around him just as accountable. Because if Pops can sit on the court side every game and clap and cheer and go bump with Shannon Sharp at the Laker game, then why can't he tell him to just chill the fuck out?
Mm-hmm.
But I ain't gonna get too much into that because I'm not in the business of criticizing black fathers who are, present. But this guy's a young guy, man, and he's making a lot of mistakes right now. So I hope that quickly somebody gets his hand around him and starts leading him in the right direction, because if not, this will get really destructive.
No,
I agree with all that. It's unfortunate because like I'm a huge fan of Ja Morant's game, and I think he's just he's an electrifying talent, and that I think the NBA like desperately will need once LeBron's time is up. So with that being said, I mean to go for it, I've met Ja Morant's dad. His dad T is like really cool guy, like really laid back, super chill. And I don't really know his family structure in that sense, you know what I'm saying, and how he talks to Ja or kind of disciplines Ja and being the star NBA millionaire that he is right now. And I don't really think it comes from that angle. I think he does his best job as a father, and I love that he's at the games courtside and booing his son and going to bat for his son when somebody's like talking shit on the court side, you know what I mean, the court, whether it be a Shannon Sharp or whatever. But still, at the end of the day, you got to know where to draw the line if your job. But he's also a young-minded, young kid who's really came up on a $100 million deal on being in the league and having a shoe deal, and this is probably still all fairly new to him, and finding all this new success. You get a new entourage, you're living in Memphis. Yo Gotti and Moneybagg Yo are putting you in lyrics. Like, you might think that, what I'm saying, part of the hip-hop culture, and I think Ja represents the hip-hop culture the way Allen Iverson was repping it, for us, because like I feel like we never saw nothing like Allen Iverson before.
Right.
And Ja Morant, I feel like is AI 2.0, respectfully. And I'm glad that
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm glad he put the statement out there and getting help, and I hope that he really follows through with all that, because man, like it would just be bad to see Ja really go down on a situation like that. And it sucks to really see the memes the way they are, you know what I mean, and him just kind of being the butt of jokes right now on the internet. And it really doesn't have to be that way. And I think he still has, he'll find a way to improve that. And I think somebody like Allen Iverson, who has been through it, should have that kind of conversation with him and kind of, help be a somewhat mentor to him as he continues to grow in his NBA career.
I can't give him bail. I can't give Ja Morant bail for the actions. I can't do it. I can't. That whole thing about his statement actually kind of rubbed me the wrong way when he said, "I'm going to go take time to heal and learn." Like, bro, like, what are we talking about here? The opportunity you have in your hands, like we all, I understand. Every athlete understands when you, especially once you get to that level. Everybody who plays to that level understands. Your whole life was giving up things because you're not the same as everybody else. That was your whole life. I couldn't go to parties all the time because I wanted to play football. I couldn't do this all the time because I wanted to play football. Now you're there and you're doing it, and it's not a mistake because it's 3 instances, alleged instances, right? 3 different times over the span of 6 or 7 months or whatever it is, where you're putting yourself in these situations to really ruin everything for yourself when you have it all in your hands. So I can't give him bail. I don't want to. I hope he turns it around. I just like, dude, stay off the IG Live. I don't know what the fascination on IG Live is to show everybody what you're doing all the time. I don't get it, but that's his generation. That's what they grew up on. How old is John Morant? 20, 21 years old?
Like 20,
something like that, right? So okay, yeah, he's very, very young, and so I do understand. Like, again, you want to go party, dude, go have fun, right? You want to party, you want to have fun, go do those things. But like all the stuff with the gun, beating up people, this, that, and the third, I can't shoot him bail for that. I hope he gets it together. I hope he gets his life together because he is a special talent. But I'm not here to cape for him. I've seen a lot of people doing that. People talking about our trauma as Black people, and how we deal with trauma. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. You're not somebody from the. You're not just.
We're not doing that.
No,
we're not doing that.
And I think the biggest problem I have with the entire defense behind it was a little bit about what Joey touched on, which right now is doing more harm to us than it is doing well. And that's the glorification of our hip hop culture, sir.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We got to start differentiating that. A lot of these people who are putting out the content of the hip hop, they ain't even living that, right?
Thank you.
Yeah,
No, they're not.
Thank you.
Very true.
There are basketball players from 2-parent household that went to prep schools.
He went to prep.
I don't know his whole life. He could have very well lived in the hood, but I'm not going to compare him to Allen Iverson from Virginia Beach.
This
that
is
I
true.
know what environment Allen Iverson comes
Yep.
from. I know why he's not going to coach at Georgetown. You know what I'm saying? He literally didn't listen to authority all growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there are certain things that like we gotta stop like glorifying our hip-hop culture and then justifying why we act a certain way based on like, granted, I love the hip-hop culture. I think that is something that is very unique to us and we should highlight it, but we should only let it be highlighted in that realm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Let it just be highlighted through the music as it being art that's music. But our problem is we got too many of our youngins thinking that that's real life.
That's what they
Yeah.
think.
That's how they should move.
Nope.
And John Morant's problem is that he didn't feel like he was credible enough being an NBA player
Yep.
and a role model for kids in that manner that he had to be in the same NBA that young boy in.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that.
That ain't it.
That ain't it.
No, it's not, dude.
That ain't
It's
it, family, because people are dying behind this shit.
Yes.
I look at it the same way right now
TikTok.
as we look at the way our hip hop culture is being pimped on social media platforms. Different. You be seeing social media, women's basketball win against another team. They be like smoking on that Grizzly pack.
Yeah. They don't even know what that means. Like, do you even know?
Bro,
Nobody even understands
People behind that shit, man.
bro, people died in Chicago. Bro, Chief Keef and them boys were
stuff like that.
people were dying in Chicago off that, smoking on that Tuka pack. People were dying, bro. Like dead ass.
Preppy social media interns, 17-year-old preppy dudes getting on these social media accounts talking about, yeah, we just beat them. This ain't the gritty. Like, you know what I'm saying? Know what you're doing. Our black culture is for us for a reason, bro. Like, know what we doing. And a lot of times, bro, we done now mainstreamed it so much, bro. Our kids are being misled, man.
Yep.
They being misled. Man. Be very careful, bro. John Morant doesn't represent hip hop culture. You know what I mean?
No.
He should be representing the NBA, Murray State. You know what I mean? So he need to stay in that lane, and I hope that somebody tell him to do so. Because you can still be cool and stay in that lane. LeBron has been so cool staying in the basketball lane that he still gets dropped. He gets
cool ass billionaire.
He makes
cool
movies.
That's the coolest shit in the world. That's the coolest shit in the world, bro. To be a billionaire. I don't care that you. Who cares if you have a gun?
Man, you wouldn't catch me outside for nothing. You would not see me outside.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good on that. That's what blows my mind. But that's just my mentality. That's just my, how I would approach being in a situation like y'all. Like, I wouldn't need to do all that. Like, I mean, but that's just me. And I'm obviously, me and him probably come from two different circumstances. Right. But yeah, I think everything you said was very on point. I mean, the hip hop culture is definitely getting glorified, and it doesn't help that Memphis is like the center of hip hop attention right now. And, I feel like he's being consumed in all that. And, like, you even look at some of the Grizzlies, like, promos. Like, I mean, you got Glorilla, talking about stuff. You got Money Back to Court, all the games guy as well. And it's like, it feels, this is this is him, and he's like integrated with this, Memphis culture in rap. And, Ja, like, respectfully, dog, you're a ball player. Not to tell you to shut up and dribble. I'm not going to be that. But at the end of the day, like, just kind of know how to, what you're getting yourself into and the people you're surrounding yourself, and be mindful.
He should have to.
And I saw somebody,
all real street niggas, man.
Yeah, I saw somebody on social media saying, "Well, what if you need the gun for protection? He need to protect himself." John Morant, if you need a gun, to go somewhere, you probably shouldn't be going there. But if you choose to, you can hire security, bro, and keep it out of your hands. Nothing good, huh? You disagree?
No, I agree. I agree.
If he has a license, whatever, like, keep the joint in the house, bro. Like, for protection, lock that shit up.
That's what I'm saying. Keep it in the house. You don't need to be outside with that, because all you are doing, you're already super famous, super wealthy. You are a target already. When you carry that gun with you, and people know you carrying guns with you, you're attracting a certain type of energy from people. Simple as that.
They're gonna look at him like, you can't get touched.
Yeah, it never ends well, bro. Any athlete with a gun, it has never ended well. Plaxico Burress, Gilbert Arenas. When athletes start brandishing guns and start doing all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't go well, bro. It does not end well. So I hope for his sake, like you guys said, he can get his act together. And you are right, Jude. It stems a lot from people, the things we glorify now, especially in our culture. Mm-hmm. It's sick, bro. It's sick that the fact that he thinks that that's what he has to do to be cool. I've never thought about it like that, but that is a wild thought. Like, he thinks gonna tow guns
in order to be cool.
Yeah,
it's clear.
It's crazy. Somebody.
Yeah, the Memphis Grizzlies is cool enough.
Jude is spot on that.
Plenty.
That's what that's honestly what he believes. Jude's right.
And that's lame. That's really, really lame. And the problem with that, as much as it is him, like I said, he's a young kid, but he's probably in a very enabling environment to that ideology, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's probably in an environment where they're like, yeah, man, like, ain't nothing wrong with that, bro. Like, talk your shit. Like, no, bro. No.
And it's crazy because he also
what
had
happened?
daughter, you know, like, and you know,
Bro, what happened? I remember when I was coming up, Joey Jude, like the people around me, like my OGs, made sure I didn't do none of that dumb shit. They was like, bro, you are good at sports, bro. Go play sports. You don't need to be outside all hours of the night. They're like, hey, bro, you tripping. Like when I first got to Tampa, maybe I was partying a little too much, doing a little too much. The OGs used to come like, hey, bro, hey, youngin, chill out, bro. You feel me? Calm your ass down. Like, you feel me? The players will come talk to you. So it's crazy that there's nobody there. And if it's his friends, if it's his family, if it's his people, why would you put the money in a chance to hurt the money?
Right.
Like, because he's changing all y'all's lives. And you're going to put him in a situation where he can mess it up because if he not good, y'all not good.
Caleb.
So I don't understand.
Caleb.
I'm making too much sense.
You pay my bills. And I'm trying to tell you what you should do with your life. And I'm asking you for help.
Yeah, you're right.
You really don't got a good grip on what I'm doing in life. I'm asking you for help. I rely on you. You're the help.
Yeah, I ain't telling you nothing.
Not to do what make you happy.
Right.
Not to do what make you feel like you or whatever version of you want to be now. But that's the culture we come from, bro. That's what I talk about, enabling environment, bro. He got a bunch of people with their handout, bro, that are taking those handouts, bro, and in return, bro, they're giving him validation for whatever fuck dumb actions he wants to do.
Yep.
That's the environment. That's
I had this.
That's the truth. You want to
I had this conversation.
You go about it.
I had this conversation with Cam Jordan, and we were talking about the center, the power forward for the Pelicans from Duke. Oh man, why am I blanking right now? Zion. We're talking about Zion, right?
Yeah.
So I was in New Orleans, and Zion had his whole weight issue. I saw Zion, bro. Zion looked like a left tackle when I saw him at the Pelicans, because Pelicans facility and the same facility, you're connected. It's in the same spot, right? So the dude was so big, and I'm like, bro, like this dude got $100-something million already. Like, why don't he just get a chef? And I was like, why doesn't his pops tell him, like, stay in shape? This, and I know how I can get in New Orleans. The food is delicious. The food is delicious, but you are a hooper. You should not be 320 pounds. You shouldn't be like that. And basically, Cam said the same thing. He says, Caleb, Zion got $100 million. He's paying for his whole family's life. They're not telling him no. They said the buddy was drinking a 2-liter Coke a day, and I'm like, no.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, no, G hooded on the nose though. That is how it is.
That's how it is, man. And like I said, we want to stop perpetuating these cycles. The reason why a lot of the kids don't listen to the OGs no more, bro, to be honest, is because we don't glorify our OGs no more.
Nope.
No.
We glorify our OGs no more. We make our OGs seem lame, bro.
Yeah.
We make our OGs seem lame just because they ain't got the money and the jury and everything to show for like the young dudes got. So now you literally got dudes that should be OGs acting like young niggas.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got old
bro.
dudes.
You know what the most
it's crazy. So I think that
I seen something.
We gotta glorify the OGs. We gotta give them their flowers. We gotta give them the light. We gotta make them seem cool so that when they speak up and when they giving back game, the youngins think it's cool. You know what I'm saying? But if we shit on the OGs, because sometimes people only think you can learn from somebody who's exactly where you want to be. But no, you can a lot of times learn from somebody who's made a lot of mistakes in life.
Correct.
Give them the voice to tell you what not to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not only success you can learn from. A lot of times we learn from our failures, but we don't glorify that. Social media doesn't glorify that.
It's people started saying 9 to 5s are lame. That's when I knew there was a real problem with our young people, bro.
Yep.
They said having a 9 to 5 is lame. Like having a steady job and healthcare and a 401k. They said that's lame. Like I'm just like, dude, like what are y'all just like, that's corny. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Everybody can't be a famous Twitch streamer. I'm sorry. Like get a job, get a degree.
Don't look at the Twitch subs, man. That shit don't mean nothing at the end of the day, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like it's really mind blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, I got Jude, I think I got one I think you're gonna like. I got a hot take, and I'm not really like a hot take kind of guy, but Kevin Durant is a top 5 player of all time.
Speaking of hot take, did you see what I just posted in the
yeah, he just posted some good stuff in the
I know Jude saw it. That's why he said, "Oh wow."
I saw both of them. I saw.
Oh,
it just happened.
I just saw
it. Just came to my phone.
Ooh.
Neither one I'm surprised about. I think the news was that the Ravens just franchise tagged Lamar Jackson.
But they did the cheap one though, so he can negotiate with somebody else for 2
Awesome.
picks.
You
Good
know
for
what I'm
him.
saying? I'm sure a lot of us have been in a situation, you know what I'm saying, probably with women or whatnot, where we're non-committal about them, and it's like, hey, and I think that's what the Ravens are doing with Lamar Jackson. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
So that's their prerogative, is their organization. That's what they want to do. That's fine. You know what I mean? I do not think it's really gonna matter that much. As far as Donovan being released, I think everybody kind of saw that coming. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
For a while, and that's my homeboy. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
love him.
He's a great guy, but 8 years, 124 games, get that franchise everything he got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The contract and the play not making sense no more. We get it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's definitely going to be an opportunity for him to move on. I think he'll get an opportunity with a contender that wants to
Yes.
lead,
Definitely.
with a veteran presence, and I think he still has a lot of game left. So I'm happy for him. He's had a great Bucks career. He's Super Bowl champ.
Mhm.
Nobody can take that away. But the
One
Lamar Jackson thing, I'm interested in hearing what all of you have to say about the Lamar Jackson franchise tag.
I honestly didn't think they were
okay.
going to do it. I did not think they were going to do it.
I knew they would franchise tag him. I just thought they would give him the $45 million franchise tag. So
Okay.
basically what they're saying is, okay, bro, we're not just going to let you walk. That's what I think they're saying right now. We're not just going to let you walk, right? Obviously, we're going to let other people, get their hand in the pot, right? And it's like, hey, we're not going to get this deal done. We're not giving you $200 million guaranteed. We don't think you're worth that. Sorry. So basically, go work on finding somewhere else to go. I think it's good for him. I think the Ravens are very, very stupid for doing what they're doing. I know how you feel about Lamar Jackson. Well, I don't think you're going to tell me. I'm not sure. You said you're not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan. Any quarterback that wins 75% of his games that he starts, I'm a fan of. When he's playing, he was undefeated this season until the fourth quarter when his defense would crumble. Like that game against the Dolphins, like he was playing lights out before he got hurt. He was playing very, very good football, and he has not had a superstar receiver. His best receiver has been a tight end, you know. And so I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. I think for what he is and for how he performs, like the player he does it very, very well, and he wins games. Like he wins you football games. The Ravens were awful without that man. So I'll be interested to see where it goes from here. But wild though, I didn't think they'd give him a $32 million one. I thought they'd do the other one.
Joey?
I mean, it was expected that the Ravens were going to obviously do this. I don't know if Lamar sees the Ravens being like the place that he wants to be at. And the question is like, I mean, will he like cooperate? I mean, he probably has to with the franchise tag, but like, how does this factor into like his game plan? I mean, obviously he's going to have to show out, but I truly think I honestly don't think he's happy with being in Baltimore. And I think it showed with, this past season when, like he sat out. Yeah, he was hurt, but he definitely was like, taking his time out and was definitely showing him like, hey, I need the bag for this, that, and the third. You see what I can do, what I can provide. And again, just like you, Caleb, like I'm a fan of, his play, the amount of games he's winning, the team dynamic is completely different when he's on the field. Defenses definitely have to prep, accordingly to his style of gameplay. But yeah, I don't see the Ravens being like his long-term destination.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Blake?
I think he wants to go to Miami.
Yeah, he's from
I love
Florida.
it. Yeah.
From
Him
Florida.
and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle will be a very interesting.
Insane.
We're not talking about the Dolphins enough. The Dolphins are a hotbed. They are a quarterback away from being a real contender. I'm not a Tua Tagovailoa fan. Huh? No, dude. I've been told you about this. No, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. I did not see Tua throw one deep ball where the receiver didn't have to stop and turn around and catch the ball like a punt all season. You know, like
he was trying to get pass interference penalty. That's all.
Yeah, his arm strength just isn't there like that. He is very, very accurate, but I just don't think he's that guy that can take you over the hump. You know, and I think their team is built for their offense to be the what makes it go. Like Judas alluded today, the identity of that team is their offense. They have speed at receiver, speed at running back, a couple good pieces on defense. I like the Jalen Phillips, but it's made for their offense to go and to win them games. And I don't think that he's that guy to throw it for 30 times a game, 25 times a game, because that's what they have to do to win.
Oh,
They got
Lamar.
a defensive-minded team. No, we're talking about Tua right now.
Well, Tua,
I'm saying, but somebody said Lamar was going to Miami. You said that.
I said Miami's a hotbed
he
for.
would want to go to Miami. I think his
There's going to be a.
go to Miami.
shit, well, why wouldn't he?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm saying even maybe even Aaron Rodgers to Miami. Miami's a hotbed for a quarterback.
What is it? Stephen A.
and make a big change.
Stephen A. had a rumor today talking about Brady coming back and going to Miami.
But not if we're talking about arm
Oh,
strength
no.
like that. But yeah, I think the Ravens did what they felt was best for them, and I think this is good for Lamar too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Lamar needs to go somewhere where they feel like he's worth that amount of money, and I think the Ravens should have the right to not spend that much money on a quarterback who it is very subjective as to whether he deserves that amount of money or not. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's been a league MVP. He's a winner for sure.
Yep.
We'll never discredit that from him. You know what I mean? But when I look at the guys that are making that type of money, that's not the only thing that they have to the table as quarterbacks. And when I say as quarterbacks, I don't just mean because quarterback is the most important position on the field. But when I look at the way Deshaun Watson got paid in Cleveland without even stepping on the field from Cleveland, it's because when you turned on the Deshaun Watson tape prior to him stepping on in Cleveland, you saw there weren't too many flaws that you could pick out of his game and say, he got to work on that before he becomes, or maybe
Before he got there,
if he could throw the ball like this, then maybe you get what I'm saying. Deshaun Watson was always about kind of like the supporting cast that kind of couldn't help him get over the hump. But you knew what you had in a franchise quarterback from a perspective of the biggest problem I have with Lamar Jackson, if I could just say it right here now,
Go ahead.
that I feel like on a week in, week out consistent basis, he does not throw the football with anticipation and accuracy that you want from a quarterback at that level. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not impressed by the seam routes and in-breaking routes thrown to Mark Andrews because he's a big target that's right there in front of him and is running across the middle. It's the throws outside the numbers that bother me. It's the fact that a lot of these receivers that are getting discredited, I know they're not that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know that sometimes when I'm watching the tape, if the ball would have came out early and on time to anticipate the receiver getting out of the break, it should have been a completion. And a lot of times with Lamar, it isn't. You know what I mean? And it was coming out of college, and now it's in the NFL where you got to tailor the offense and the game and everything towards his skill set. And to me, when you're paying a quarterback $250,000 or $250 million or whatever we got to pay you, we should be able to use the high school playbook. You know what I'm saying? And we should be able to throw it all over the field with you, regardless. You know what I mean? And I think that's where the Ravens look at it and they're like, this is going to cripple our cap for the next 5 to 6 years. We may not be able to build a team around this type of situation. Kind of like what the Cardinals are about to do with Kyler Murray. They just paid him all this money. They're not going to be able to build no type of team around a guy like that. He can't even carry a team.
No.
His skill set by itself cannot carry the team.
No, you can't.
You've crippled the cap. You're done.
The going rate, though. It's the going rate for a quarterback now. That's just kind of where the market is.
What a team that has the cap and the infrastructure around them to be able to be successful with them, get them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, I like it. I like it for both. I like it for both parties. I hope he can find his way out of there so he can be happy and they can go in the direction that they want to go in and do what they want to do. Yeah. I think the reason I like Lamar Jackson is he a complete passer? No, he's not. I mean, you'd be a liar to say that he is. But I think once you mix together what he does passing wise and what he does running wise, if Lamar only throws for 28 touchdowns, but he rushes for another 20, he still accounted for 48 touchdowns that season. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If he throws for 3,500 yards and rushes for 900, he still accounted for almost 5,000 yards of offense, right? Go ahead.
With his style, though, is that he's one bad injury away from the main part of his game that you're going to rely on so much to win.
Be gone.
To get out of there.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But Cam Newton went to the Super Bowl.
Speed, and then you're saying that he's an average passer. We can't really say that.
I wouldn't say. I didn't say average. I said he's not a complete passer. I didn't call him average though.
Okay. So we can't really say that about none of the other guys that are getting paid $250 million to play quarterback.
That's right, the money.
Three passers.
Yeah.
There's not a throw on the field that Deshaun Watson can't make.
No.
That's a fact. Oh, bro, you're not gonna. There's no Deshaun Watson slander here. Before he got hurt, he was a dog.
You know,
before he took his little break, dude was amazing. He was in for me.
Using Deshaun Watson because I don't believe Colin Murray was worth what he got paid. I just think that his organization fell in a situation where that was the going rate, right?
Yeah.
Now they just opened up their wallets and wrote a check. And the Ravens are like, man, we understand what the going rate is, but that's kind of expensive for us. We try to see we get a bargain because we're in the business of building a team, not just trying to please a player.
Yeah.
You know,
and also historically speaking,
passer. Like we can't say he's a complete passer, but we're about to open up the entire checkbook and give it to him.
I think also, Jude, historically speaking, the Ravens have never been a team that spends money on that position anyway. Look at all the successes they had. It was any position. You're right. Any position, really.
They're not breaking
like that.
You're not being the highest player in the league at your position playing for the Ravens.
No, you're not. You're not going to.
Team.
Yeah. And so that's the identity. So I understand why they wouldn't make that move. It's just I feel like when we were growing up, all of us were pretty well, other than Blake, he old head, but we're all pretty close in age. But when we was coming up, I felt like you didn't see quarterback. You didn't see quarterback movement. And now in the last like 5 years, we can't turn on a TV in the offseason without a big name quarterback being on the move and going somewhere and find a new home. Like, what's that like for you, Jude? Like, how do you like that that's happening? Do you like that there's that era of like, this guy plays here 20 years, one team? Do you like the fact that guys are moving the way they are? I do.
I don't know. It don't really make me feel no type of way. I just know that I know why the reason of the game is like that now.
Yeah.
Back then, you used to draft a guy, and then there would be the patience from the fan base and the organization to let this guy kind of develop 1, 2, or 3 years before we kick him to the can. Now we draft a guy. When we draft him, the moment he gets out there, his clock starts.
Boy.
That's true.
So we feel like this guy isn't it. We are
going you're up.
Next guy.
Hey.
Is no longer interested in developing the 21 and the 22-year-olds that out of college. They just want them to come in and fucking take over the league. And if you don't take over the league by the time you're 24,
you're out.
We got to ship your ass somewhere else.
That NBA mentality. The NFL's got the NBA mentality now where everybody's being mobile and being, I've never seen so many trades in the NFL happen.
Geno Smith
was never like that, Joey. You're right.
Yeah.
Geno Smith in year 10. That's what year 10 supposed to look like, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't even let him simmer to C6, 7, 8, 9 because you stuck him to the bench as soon as you drafted him to the bum ass Jets and he couldn't get nothing done. So there's no more patience with the process when it comes to that. So yes, we're gonna see a volume of things going down like that. And now, honestly, back in the day, bro, the system is way more buddy than it used to be back in the day, bro. Like them niggas did not want to play with each other as bad as these niggas want to play with each other now.
Oh man,
that's true.
Alliances.
Like then when you play for the Bears, you play for the Bears.
Yeah.
Facts.
If you went to the Packers because they offering you more money, you're a
no, it was beef. Yeah.
It was beef.
Yeah. Vontaze Burfict wasn't going to play for the Steelers.
And they go sign a big deal.
He's not going to play for the Steelers.
People play for the Steelers and go sign a big deal with the Ravens. And you like, what?
Yeah, facts.
Last year you hated those guys.
Yeah.
Facts, bro. Facts.
Everybody now.
Nice. Speaking straight facts.
People gonna be on the move, man. You call your dog in the offseason, man. It's sweet over here, dog.
I'm on my way. On my way.
Players out here tweeting at each other.
Yeah,
Hey, yo, what's good? What you doing?
Hey,
I got the strip club spot.
hey, look how that buddy shit worked out for Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Look how doing that buddy shit worked out for him, bro. Did not work out well at all. Now he's gonna be sitting there with oh my goodness. And I understand the Raiders, man, like
Oh my god.
and the scapegoating thing happens quite a bit in professional sports. But this kid, the way he threw Derek Carr under the bus like that and blamed this man who went to the playoffs with the worst team. He took a less talented team to the playoffs.
Who threw him under
And
the
an
bus?
interim head coach.
McDaniels.
What's buddy's name? The head coach.
McDaniel?
McDaniels.
Yeah.
McDaniels is not. McDaniels is. I'm starting to call his bluff, bro. I don't think he's that good of a coach, bro.
No, he's
Well, you know the
I
Raiders
don't.
situation, right?
I don't even want to call him a.
The Raiders situation, they're in a situation where a lot of these other teams are in, like the Cardinals too, like where like they've fired so many coaches and are still paying so many coaches, they can't even afford to fire a
Yeah.
coach.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
Cardinals, people think about it like, damn, why Sean Payton ain't go to the Cardinals? The Cardinals can't afford Sean Payton.
No.
You know what I mean? You're paying Steve Wilkes, now you got to pay Kingsbury. So yeah, Jonathan Gannon probably took the job for pennies on the dollar, bro.
Yeah, just to get opportunity.
You know what I mean? But Sean Payton wasn't going to for no pennies. And the Raiders are in the same situations. You got Jack Del Rio, you let go. Don't know really
John
know.
Gruden.
Then you brought him in because you wanted John Gruden to take over and take y'all to the promised land.
Yeah.
Then y'all scapegoated him with them emails. Oh my God.
Oh, bro,
yeah.
can we talk about that,
No.
They did him so nasty with that.
bro?
Now you gotta pay his money meal.
Talk about
Because he's still gonna get his bread. I hope John Gruden get all of his bread plus
Me
interest.
too, bro. And I had, bro. I saw players, analysts, all these people talking about, man, I can't believe John Gruden would say those things, this, that, and the third, trying to cancel them. I said, hey, bro, give me your text messages. Let me see what you got going on in your group chat. Show me what you got going on in your group chat. See how that ends for you.
It goes to somebody.
Yes.
Somebody was on the other end that replied.
Yeah.
Yes.
What happened to that guy? What happened to that guy?
Probably not in his head and everything too. Like,
Let me see what he said.
Yeah, let me see what he said.
Bro, it was an email thread. It was like a group chat. Like, you know, old people don't text like that. So they email back and forth. It's like 50 people in them emails, all reading the same information. And he the only one that got in trouble.
He
That
pissed
shit is
somebody
mind
off.
blowing.
Somebody
That's what happened.
That was
Somebody
nasty.
beat somebody's wife. Something happened.
Yeah, he did something. He tried to
Yeah,
kick it to
that was
somebody's
nasty
wife
work.
or
Yeah,
chick
that
or
was
something.
Guarantee you.
That was gross. But yeah, man. So
Okay, so
that's what you're saying.
I want to know your thoughts on my take,
I
Jude.
know he was.
I say KD is a top 5 player.
Oh yeah, my bad.
I say KD is top 5 player. I can give you my argument why
Of all time,
of all time.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joey.
of all time,
Yeah.
I'll give you my argument why.
Say it to him again, Jude.
All time.
Of all time.
Kevin Durant, unfortunately, is not a top 5 player of all time, in my opinion. Now I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, he's probably not most people. Maybe top 5, between 5 and 10. He's in that 5 to 10 range for me.
You
I'll
stick
say
with
that.
something.
Yeah.
5 to 10. Okay. You know what? F it. I'm all in. All right, look. All right, how about this? I'm all in.
You gotta go all
No,
in.
look. All right, hold on. I'm gonna stand on it. What Jeremiah Green says, stand on that. I'm gonna stand on it. Top 5. This is why. No player, very few players at his level can go on any team and their game doesn't change. Can go on any team and fit in with anybody. If you take most great players, you take Kareem, you take LeBron, you take Kobe, just who are Luka, right? Whoever you want to talk about, right? Maybe other than Steph. Steph might be another guy that's like that too. Steph and Clay. You take these guys, you can put them on any team, any construction, and I'm still going to go out there and give you 30 points. I don't need to have the ball in my hand. Oh, these two guys don't fit. They're both ball dominant. Russ doesn't work with the Lakers because of this. If AD gets 40, LeBron has to only get 20. KD says, no, give me 15 shots, I'll give you 30 points because I'll go to the free throw line 10 times. And I think the fact that he can go do that, go play with the Warriors, fit like a glove, and was still the best player on that team. That's saying something because Steph Curry is an all-time great player, right? And he came in there and was the best player on that team. He took Russell Westbrook. The only person to take Russell Westbrook to the finals is who? Kevin Durant.
James Harden was there too.
Russell Westbrook has not been to a final. James Harden was a sixth man, bro. Let's stop acting like James Harden was James Harden.
Look at his statistics on that team before you say he was a beast
coming off the
bench.
Hold
on, bro. All the time. Listen. Hey, Lou Williams averaged 22 off the bench too. Is Lou Williams, James Harden the same player? Can we not do that?
No, but what I'm telling you is that
come on, bro.
Go look at James Harden's numbers.
I'm not saying he's a scrub.
His production. I'm not just talking about points.
I understand.
I'm talking about assists. I'm talking about rebounds. I'm talking about his production on that team.
Yes, he's amazing player.
It was starter production. Yep. You know what I mean? It was like Mark Crawford teams he's been on. Yes, Lou Williams. You started production. Whoever starts in front of Lou Williams doesn't get 22 a game.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So he doesn't. Be James Harden.
He does not. I'm not saying he's a scrub.
But he's James Harden in production for his team.
If they would have gave him the bag, we'd probably be having a different conversation.
But those are
you know what I'm saying?
Top tier in the West at that time.
KD, I get your argument about KD, and it's a great.
No, but another thing is when James Harden was at his best, James Harden was patting the ball 30 times a game, 30 times if you're getting the shot off. At what point is him and Westbrook going to work on the court at the same time together?
At what point is what?
I'm asking.
We don't know.
Him and Westbrook, you said if they stayed, he said if they stayed, they would have it. But anyway, back to my point. Again, KD, anywhere he goes, doesn't matter what team he's on, he's going to go out there. He's going to be efficient. He's going to score with the best of them. And there's more than anybody else, I think, in NBA history, there's really nothing you can do with him when he rises up for a shot. It's either he's on or off. It has nothing to do with you, though. There is no hand in his face. There is no blocking his shot. There is no stopping him from getting to the basket, right? So I think when you criminalize all those things, you add all the things together, that's why I think makes him a top 5 great player. And he has championships, right? Everybody, we're not going to start doing the ring counter thing.
No.
Because if we want to do that, then Bill Russell is the GOAT, right?
Yeah, no, we're not going to count the rings, but we are going to try to.
What did he do with the Brooklyn Nets?
What the greatest players in the sport kind of did. And I'm not even going to lie to you. Granted, yes, LeBron, he bounced to the Heat and then did the thing with the Cavs and all of that. LeBron's thing is more about kind of longevity and just being great for such a long time.
Yep.
But there is a thing about basketball that you respect about a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, people who stuck with that one franchise.
Right.
And granted, yes, Mike had Scotty and Kobe may have had Shaq. They were the guys undisputedly on the team that made other guys want to come play with them. The thing I'm starting to see a little bit trendy with KD is he linking up with that.
There you go.
There
you go.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with KD, and I don't put him in my top 5. I don't think KD's a leader. I think he's a great scorer. I'd love to have him on my team, if I'm any team in the NBA. But he needs people to lead for him, and he just wants to be out there just shooting the ball. He's Scottie Pippen.
Why? Whoa!
A better version of Scottie.
Whoa! That was crazy.
A better version of Scottie.
Crazy.
Hit him.
That was crazy.
I think there is.
He needed Steph Curry the same way Scottie needed Michael Jordan. And that's the way I'm not talking about skill set. I'm just talking about if you look at the Bulls made it to an Eastern Conference championship and lost to the Magic when Jordan was over. They lost early in the playoffs to either the Knicks or the Magic. I forget who, with Scottie running the team. And Scottie was kicking ass. Scottie was that dude. Scottie was up for MVP at that. He was in the MVP conversations. But KD, seeing what I saw with the Kyrie Irving pair up, it made me see everything I needed to see about him.
Bro,
He can't lead, and Kyrie is obviously not somebody that you can really, talk to in a sense of like getting him on the same page with you. And they shown that. And it showed after getting booted out the first round of the playoffs with a healthy Nets team. And yeah, like KD, I think amazing talent, definitely a top 50 NBA player of all time. Like, or 75 or whatever conversation it is. But I do not give him top 5, bro. I put him top 10. I do not give him top 5.
This is getting versatile.
Look, I don't like it.
You're a wallet.
Maybe is a top 5 basketball player of all time, just because a person like me, I respect two-way players. You know what I'm saying? Way more than I respect guys who just go down and put the ball in the hoop. I want to see you put the ball in the hoop and then come back on defense and try to stop the other guy from putting the ball in the hoop. You know what I'm saying? And Jordan and Kobe and those.
He's more of a rim protector.
Those guys did that undisputably. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to guard the best.
He's not out. Yeah, they did facts.
They wanted to guard the other guy on the best guy on the other team. I do agree with you, Joey, though, that I do think like KD likes to be on teams where there's an attention on another star so that he doesn't necessarily have to bear all of the responsibility.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to discredit his leadership skills based on him not being able to be on the same page with Kyrie Irving when they was in Brooklyn, because Kyrie Irving comes off as a difficult person to get on the same page with. You get what I'm saying? Kyrie Irving comes off as the type of person that he got his mind made up on who he is anyway, in or outside of basketball.
Right.
KD and them is all basketball. Kyrie is more than that. So it's going to be hard for them to ever look like they were going to be in sync.
That was always a bad pair up. That was always his bad running mate.
It was a bad running mate for him. And I don't know who's a good running mate. But KD is a killer, boy.
I do like the book. I think with Booker now and you got Chris Paul there. Like, I think the Suns are gonna be
Scotty's crazy.
Rough.
Scottie Pippen is a.
Like you got to guard KD or you got to.
Pippen was a crazy analogy.
Well, his
like, longer than Scottie
Pippen in a sense where, like I said, he just needed a proper running mate. He needs a proper running mate, and I think Steph Curry was the perfect running mate.
Everyone does.
Yeah, but like
everyone needs a proper running mate. Nobody is out here doing it by themselves.
Now.
There's a difference.
Poor Damian Lillard.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Some guys don't do it by themselves, but like the help wants to come help them. With KD has been feeling like he's been going to seek the help, man.
Yeah.
That's what people know. Like.
So look, can I tell you what I think?
Ben Simmons wasn't coming through.
I don't think KD is seeking help. I think
you know what I'm saying?
So look, I don't think KD is seeking help. I start looking at it differently, bro. I think KD is treating the NBA like a pickup basketball game, like AAU, right? I don't think in his head he's sitting there like, oh man, I have to win a championship to get validation from the old heads to cement my legacy. I think he says, I'm going to play basketball, because if that was the case, he would have stayed in Golden State and racked up rings. Well, and let's not get it twisted. Golden State was not beating the Cavs if KD doesn't come. After they dropped that 3-1 lead, LeBron and Kyrie had their number. They had no answers for them boys. They needed KD. He was a 2-time Finals MVP. We're not going to talk about him like he was riding Steph Curry's coattails. He's a league MVP. Average almost 30 points wherever he goes. Right, so we're not going to do that and act like he's Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was a really good player, but that's not even close. But what I will say is, I think KD's treating it like pickup basketball. He's like, I want to have fun. I want to feel good. Where can I do that at? Man, Kyrie don't. How many games did Kyrie play while he was in Brooklyn? Kyrie didn't even play a full season.
And
Kyrie did not play 82 games in 4 years. Yeah. What you talk about? James Harden. James Harden came in there out of shape. Was going to eat chicken wings at the strip club every night, pulled his hammy, right? KD was out there by himself. Yeah, KD was out there by himself against Giannis, scoring 50 points and almost beat the Bucks, who ended up winning the championship that year. So again, we're going to pump the brakes on this KD disrespect. He was averaging 30 points a game before he got traded. We're going to have to pump the brakes.
I'm not disputing. He can stack. I'm telling you that personally, KD is not in my top 5 because to be a top player, you have to be a two-way guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, fair enough. That's good criteria.
And I don't feel your presence impacting winning on defense and call you a top player of all time, which is why I think Giannis will be in that conversation.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Is in that.
I think so too.
I don't care if he ever develops a jump shot or not, because he impacts winning on the floor on both sides of the floor, and that's undeniable. That's what to me makes a top 5 NBA basketball player. KD is KD in my top is the best scorer of all time.
I agree with that.
I don't think anybody can put the ball inside of the hoop in so many different ways like Kevin Durant.
I don't know a better mid-range jump shooter.
Kobe Bryant was my favorite. You can never argue me against Kobe when I was younger. As I'm getting older now, I'm getting more sense. I'm looking at the game from a broader perspective. Nobody can put the ball inside of the hoop like Kevin Durant that I've seen with my eyes. But when it comes to being an overall basketball player, I'm putting Kobe, Bron, all of them, Jordan, all those guys way in front of Kevin Durant, because those were two-way guys. Undeniable.
And that's the thing about basketball. That's the thing about basketball. When everybody has these conversations, like everybody, when you say like top 5 or top 10 or whatever the hell conversation you have, I'm like, dude, I always say there's levels to this. You can't just say top 5, like, okay, in basketball, you can be a Hall of Famer and you're just good on defense. You never really were a scorer. I said, were you a guy who just put the ball in the hoop? Were you a guy, like you said, were you a two-way guy? Were you dunking on dudes and then coming back, blocking the shot down there at the other end or forcing a bad shot? In basketball, there's different levels. And that's good the way he broke it down like that, because I think in a lot of conversations when people say all the time, like, what are we talking about exactly here? Because in basketball, there are different skills. You could say shooters, 3-point shooters. That's a whole nother conversation.
You got a whole nother conversation.
So Jude, I like the way you broke it down about your list. I got a question for you now. So as far as GOATs go, when you're talking about the GOAT, because that's been the big thing, right? You know, LeBron, every chance he gets, he's going to tell you he thinks he's the greatest of all time. You know, so when he broke Kareem's record, everybody was like, "Oh, this makes him the GOAT." Yada 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 yada. Right. LeBron and Brady have similar careers. Brady has more rings, obviously, than anybody in football history, than most organizations. But they had a lot of longevity, right? 20 years longevity for a very, very long time. While Michael might not have had the longevity, he played 15 years. He didn't have the 20-year consistent thing that LeBron has done. But his prime, but Michael's prime, nobody shine brighter, right? Three championships, takes a break, 3 more championships, 10-time scoring champion, 9-time all defense, all, you know what I'm saying? Everything, right? So when you're discussing your GOATs, the discussion between Pat Mahomes and Brady is going to happen at some point in time later in his career if he keeps going like this. Are you looking at longevity more, or how bright their prime is? Like how bright it shines? What will go into your picking of that?
I am going to this changes. I'm going to really look at certain things that and stand on certain pillars that I believe in, right? So when it comes to me, greatness and excellence and all of those words that are like upper echelon, right? I root them on a couple of things. Consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are you occasionally good, or are you consistently great?
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, are you occasionally great, or are you consistently good?
Okay.
Because to me, real greatness to me is being consistently good and not just occasionally great. I'm not comparing like LeBron and Michael Jordan's longevity, because I think 15 and 20 years are both like plenty longevity. But what I'm saying is that like with LeBron, for instance, one thing I usually have a hard time depicting is, when did his prime like stop? Is it basically on recency, on when the last time he led the league in scoring, or the last time he won a championship? Because all of that stuff you know what I mean? So if I couldn't put a finger on how long LeBron's prime has lasted, because I literally feel like this guy's been in his prime his entire career. And when I look at his career, when I look at whether it's the stats of him, averaging 28, 7 and 7, something around that ballpark. Or I looked at the ability that he had to take a team with Jonas Hilgaskas and Eric Snow and the boys, play against Tim Duncan in the finals, go down to Miami, join forces with 2 other Hall of Famers, elevate their game and validate them as greats and Hall of Famers. The way everybody wants to play with LeBron, he makes the game easy for everybody around him. You know what I mean? So when I weigh all of those things, it makes LeBron great. It makes LeBron and have a great argument for being a GOAT. And it doesn't discredit what Michael Jordan's prime or how long he was great for any less. But I'm just saying, like, for me personally, I look at it now, man, LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time. You know what I'm saying? I look at other people who we wouldn't even know their names as having any niche in basketball if they didn't play with LeBron. And he didn't trust them to pass the ball and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he literally made the game easy. He's an overall player. He's a two-way player. The pass, he can rebound, he gets assists. He revolutionized the game. People started wanting to play like LeBron. The whole point forward. Who was the point forward before LeBron James?
They tried to make Magic a forward, but that wasn't happening.
Magic was actually a point guard though. But now there's a technology going around saying, "Oh, this guy's a forward."
LeBron. He was the first one I ever heard them say that about. Yeah, it was the first one I ever heard them say that about.
So no, I agree with Jude.
The longevity, I'm not gonna put too much hold on it over Michael Jordan, but it's the consistently playing at that high level while playing that long, to me, that makes him that great. Along with the championships.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Michael was great. Michael was great in his sleep. Even watching that the Last Dance, just seeing his mentality, like amazing. Like Michael was a fucking dog, and disrespectful about it, and didn't care. What you felt, or what your feelings were about it. Nah, I'm getting my shit off, and I'm getting these rings, and I'm taking names. What I will say is, I feel like, I think also Michael was the first of his kind of what we start to see now and what players try to strive for, being, the brand, being as marketable as Mike had Gatorade. He had his own logo. Nike doesn't even do that for people anymore. Like Michael takes over the whole shoe. He has his own division in Nike. Like he's just, to go along with the greatness, the marketing behind Michael Jordan and his greatness is what clouds people from and kind of stops people from giving LeBron his flowers. To my opinion, I feel like not only LeBron's dedication, the way he plays the game, the way, like Jude alluded to, the fact that he makes it easier on other players who've also received their flowers and greatness and received Hall of Fame's numbers retired in rafters. Like, he's given so much back to the game of basketball. Whereas just like Mike was just pretty much one man who had a cast of people, who had a bunch of guys with him that, Scottie Pippen, who's like the only person we allude to when it comes to talking about Michael's greatness. But even Scottie doesn't even get along with Mike and doesn't even, you know what I'm saying? Like he even talks about how difficult it was being around Mike now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody talks about how difficult it was being with LeBron.
There's this idea, Joey, that I think I didn't realize, but a lot of fans have, that they think because we're teammates and because we play together that we're supposed to be friends. And I tell people, I'm like, do you like all your coworkers? They're like, no. I'm just like, no. Just because we have success together doesn't mean we cool. We're not hanging out after we leave here. I go to work, we do our jobs, we go home. And I think that that gets convoluted sometimes.
Oh, it does.
But I don't think,
it does, because I
don't
always
think that
the fact that you guys, playing ball and at a pro level, and you think, as a